Welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real, metaphysical, and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. Today, we're going to be continuing our series on the Goetia with the 25th spirit of the Goetia. But first, before we do, I would like to thank everyone who does support this channel. We do have channel memberships and a Patreon section. Should you actually wish to support the channel financially, we do have the goal of we're wanting to get to the point where we do not have to rely on the ad revenue at all. That way we can do more, share more, and go into topics that we currently cannot. Also, do remember we have the online school with online video courses and live workshops over at workingdragonmystic.com. Just click the online courses tab. It'll pop you right over there. While you're over at workingdragonmystic.com, check out our merch. We have some beach towels that that are primarily used for altar cloths. We do have tapestries of the Dragon's Eye seal and the like. And of course, coffee mugs, because Working Dragon Mystic runs on coffee, let's be honest. All right, now let's get to it. What do you say? Okay, so the 25th spirit of the Goetia is Glabios. I've always pronounced it Glabios. I have heard some people say it is pronounced Glasya Labolas. I'm not sure exactly which one. I've heard it pronounced largely Glasya Labolas, which I'll make sure that it's in the title, but it's essentially spelled Glasya space Labolas, depending on how you pronounce it. And there's been a lot of debates on cultural pronunciations and the like. So it could really go any way. I do know when I have pronounced it Glasya Lobos to the entity itself, never had an issue. So for me, and at least my relationship with the entity, I'm going to go with that. So if you pronounce it differently, sorry. Go ahead and go with what you're doing if it's working for you. If you find another pronunciation, use the one that you works with you in your relationship. All right. All right, cool. This is definitely one of the bigger names that we've probably had to talk about, but now we got that going. Let's get into the appearance. Now, classically within the Goetia, Glasya Lobos is actually said to appear as a dog with wings. Now, I actually have to say this is one of the times where I have actually seen an entity appear in this way. And it's adorable. I'll be honest, a dog with wings. And as far as the dog, for me, anyways, he's appeared as multiple dogs, usually larger dog. Though I do have a friend that he appeared to as a corgi with wings, and I had another friend who he appeared as a Chihuahua, and one who had a Deutschhound, and one who had a what is it? What is it? What is it? The big lazy heavy set one. A basset hound. That's the one I'm thinking. I'm sorry about that. Now, interestingly enough, when we all sat down, we was discussing this. What I did realize, the dog that the entity seems to choose also tends to have a relevance to the magician. I am a fan of larger dogs. And all the dogs that he's ever appeared to me as have always been those larger dogs. Labradors, mastiffs, especially the English mastiff, the bull mastiff, and of course, the Newfoundland. These kind of dogs are definitely dogs I've enjoyed. Rottweilers, of course, boxers and bulldogs are some of my favorite too. Boxers are they're so energetic and so adorable. I love them. But dogs aside, so we do see that there seems to, at least from our study, be a possible pattern there. So when you work with this entity, consider that. Now, cute doggies aside, he has also taken on a humanoid form, which is fine, sometimes with wings, sometimes without wings. And in a few occasions, he even kept, whether it be the dog head, the dog tail, or in one case, it was honestly, it kind of looked like a human version of a English bulldog. But he had like a whole square face, kind of squished, but he had the big like mutton chop hair going on around there, which kind of gave me a chuckle, got him up. So Like any entity, this entity may take an appearance that it prefers, but it can also just do whatever it wants. These are just things that we've noticed, and it does jive with what we see in the Goetia, which, it's nice because we don't always get that nice little link so well. So it's really good to kind of see that here. All right, now let's get into some of the correspondences or representations of it. Um, in the Goetia, Glasya Labolas is considered the rank of president. Um, the metal most associated with him is Mercury. The planet also most associated with him would be Mercury. And color would be orange, and element would be fire. Pretty straightforward here. We have had some traffic going by. So far, our audio has been cutting out traffic a lot better with the new mic. So, yeah. When it comes to color, though, I do want to make a comment. I've been getting a lot of questions on the past videos of what candle color should I use or what color gemstone should I use when working with this entity. When I say color associated with, if you want to use a candle and you want to use a color that associates, use the color associated with the entity. That's one of the reasons we put them in here. Same thing with a gemstone. A orangish colored gemstone would be fine. If you can't find an orange gemstone, you could go with the element of fire here. You could easily use just a gemstone that represents fire. For entities that, say fire, you could easily just use any candle because you light it, boom, there's fire on the table. So that's one of the reasons we give the correspondences in the way we do, because the answers are actually already here for us. So if you're wondering what candle color, go with orange or go with the element. You can even look at the planet and find out what planets are associated. Any of those things, you can connect the dots that way very, very easily. All right, groovy. Moving on into the areas in which Glasya Labolas can actually help us. Now, originally in the Goetia, it was said that he would teach art and science, as well as he has the ability to create war and calamity. Well, that don't sound too much fun, does it? The first part, I like art and science, but the second part, not so much fun. All right, next. So, what are things that I've seen effective that both myself and other magicians agree upon? That's what we usually put in here, and that's what we like to do. Again, this is not an exhausted list. These are just some of the better points, right? All right. So the first one is clear your thoughts and bring understanding when the mind is clouded. This one I love. I love, 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 love. There's many a nights where I work late. I don't get enough sleep. I wake up very clouded. This can really help clear the fogs and let me get my work done the next day. Um, of course, I do need to eventually go to bed and sleep well. This is just kind of a tide over to get through the next day. Or just if you're have you ever been to that point where stress is clouding you? You're so stressed, everything else feels cloudy. Um, Very, very helpful. I know when I had really, really, really bad insomnia, no matter how hard I could try, I couldn't sleep, but I just stayed in that kind of clouded state. This is one of the entities that really helped me keep focused during the day when I needed it, um, to really get through there as I worked on basically getting past and getting rid of my insomnia to the best of my ability. So definitely helpful there. Next, he can help with to bring breakthroughs in research and in science. Again, this is a great entity. The reason I put it as breakthroughs in research and science. Well, science is kind of a shtick from the original Goetia. We saw that, right? But he can also help with research in general, whatever you're researching, whatever you're looking into, whatever it is you're trying to pursue. I have found this entity to be very, very, very helpful in helping with those things and help you to push through blockages and find direction in your research to get toward the conclusions, and find the answers that you want. Granted, sometimes the research project you're at hand produces results that tell you what you were hoping for is bonk, and you got to start it. Got to go all the way back to the starting area and redo it. But that's the fun of research, in my opinion. It is the pursuit of answers, the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of those developments that is the true fun. yes, it feels rewarding when you get that thing that works exactly as you intended. But at the same time, the pursuit for me is the really true fun. That's why I love magic and magical research. I'm always in pursuit. I've always got something to do, nothing to get bored about. But we hit those times. We have essentially what's writer block. We can't figure out what direction to go to continue forward. Or we run into a particular obstacle. We don't really know how to assess the data. All these things, anything that can slow or stop your research, he can help you with. Now, that's not going to say he will make your research yield the result you exactly wanted. Okay. He will help the research progress forward to the results, regardless of what they may be. Okay, that's a big important one. Next, we have a named individual suffer loneliness or be shunned by friends or strangers. This is a kind of a mean one, a harsh one, but I know a lot of people who have used it in the past. And well, to be honest, some people might actually deserve this. I've had a few people in my life that honestly, looking back, they freaking deserved it. I can't remember if I've ever utilized this aspect of this entity. Now, that's not to say I'm all hotty toddy and better than anyone, and I've never done anything to, retaliate. I've retaliated. I'm thinking of about 5 people in my brain I've retaliated to in my life. And to this day, I wouldn't trust them with a flea, much less anything I care about. So, to that, those are people I would probably use this on, though to my memory, this is not what I've done. I'm not going to say what I've done, but this is not what I've done. So yeah, but this can be handy. This can be handy. Sometimes the best way to really get a person to see what they've done wrong is to isolate them, separate them, and give them plenty of time alone with their thoughts to reflect. Sometimes that's the meanest thing a person can do because loneliness can also be damning. So, matter of perspective, matter of how you want to use it. But hey, here at Working Dragon Mystic, you do you. All right. Next up, well, we got the sigil. So, crap, we should have probably showed that already, but let's go ahead and flash that up here on screen. There you go. This is the sigil of this particular entity. You will notice that around it, you have his name spelled out. I kind of like this sigil. I find it funny because this is probably the longest name in the Goetia, and it's one of the fullest when it comes to that border around it. So it's always been an interesting one for me. All right. Now, next, we're coming to the end here, and everyone loves the uns. Again, I wanted to restate, uns are man-made. There is no one true un for any entity. Just like there's no one true absolute sigil for any entity. And well, actually, as many of you may already know, entities have many, many names. Even the names we know them as really isn't their one true name. So there's also that. Um, but this is the most commonly seen un for this entity. And I'll be honest with you, I tried to break from tradition and considered using a different one. But I'm an honest man, so we went with this one. And I say I almost broke from tradition because this one is hard for me. And largely, let's be honest, any of these uns for this entity are hard for me because the un flows in one way and then the name just like grinds the gear. I mean, if you've ever drove a stick shift and you're trying to change gears and you just, that's what it kind of feels like when I'm saying this un and I go from the first portion to the name. So bear with me as we grind this gear. Okay. So here we go. And I'll make sure it's up here on the screen so you can see it. Elan tapar sakor on ka Glasya Labolas. Elan tapor sakor on ka Glasya Labolas. Elan tapor sakor on ka Glasya Labolas. Elan tapar sakor on ka Glasya Labolas. Okay, that was easier than any of my testings. I am going to think Glasya Labolas may have just helped me get through that one because I'm seriously, I did not do half as well on any of my try to run throughs on this preparing to film because y'all know cameras terrify me. And that just went so smooth. So yeah, I give credit to someone else because it couldn't have been me. All right, now my experiences with this particular entity, that's always where we end up. My main experiences with this entity does deal in research. I'll be honest. That's really where I work with Glasya Labolas the most, is in aiding in research and understanding. I also, for fun, because I'm a dork, I do read a lot of research journals and science journals and stuff like that. And I love to see what research is going on, though I'm in no way up to speed as I would like to be. Um, but that is one of the reasons there's so many random facts in my head. And anytime I'm reading those, I also tend to like to go to him and look into particular areas that I may not understand so he can provide some clarity and guidance on where I could find more to clarify and stuff. He's been real helpful with that as well. But the bigger chunk is literally that um, breakthroughs in research and helping to progress my research and those kinds of things, helping to guide me in those ways. That's really the main area in which I work with him. Um, I do and did on occasion, like I said, when I was having insomnia issues and that just brain cloud you're in during insomnia. Anyone who's had bad insomnia where they'd go 2, 3 days no sleep, you know what I'm talking about. It's horrid. It's miserable. Um, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but I did work with him. And the thing is, people's like, well, wouldn't you do that anytime? Honestly, when you're in that cloud, it's hard to even get to the point of realizing this would be a good way to fix it. So, though I did use him, and I did use him quite a bit, you got to understand that my bout with insomnia was many years. So it's not like I worked with him daily, because some days I just couldn't get through the cloud enough to think of going to work with him in order to clear the cloud. Kind of catch 22 there. Um, but the days that I did remember and whatnot, or had another entity say, "Hey, remember?" I did work with him, and I did find him very, very effective during those. And the time when I done best with it, I actually had to make a note and stick that on the coffee pot to remind me to work with him in order to clear the cloudiness, which tended to work more often than not. I would always see the note, and by the time I hit the bottom of my first cup of coffee, the question was, did I remember to go do it, or did I forget again? That was really the catch on that. But those are the areas to my knowledge, cannot remember using the third option. So there's that. And when we get back to the original purpose, calamity and war, I'm not a fan of either of those things. Do I understand their necessity in the greater purpose of the multiverse? Yes, I understand their purpose. And no, I would not shy away from either one if I had to deal with one in my lifetime. But there's a difference in understanding their purpose, understanding their need, and wanting it. See, because though have been proven in my time to be capable of fighting my own and, excelling in fights, if you will, I've always preferred peaceful resolutions before all else. So I pursue that over those two. Does that make sense? I hope so. Perhaps there is a video in that balance of understanding the need of war and calamity and still pursuing a life of peace. Maybe there's a video in that. I'll have to think on that. But yeah, so the two areas, simply research and just dealing with head fog, are the main ones I've ever worked with. All right. So that is Glasya Labolas for us, people. A wonderful entity. I think you should reach out, especially if you're a researcher or you love science. Definitely a great entity to reach out and work with. Hopefully you have enjoyed this take on this entity. And if you enjoy content like this and you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you're notified anytime we release a new video. We release videos at least once a week, plus we do live streams on Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have a gilded community. You can find the link in the About section here of this channel. It's a wonderful community. I do highly, highly recommend you check it out. a lot of great people in there sharing ideas, sharing their research, and well, inspiring each other to continue forward and helping to better themselves, self-mastery, self-empowerment, you know, everything that we do here at Working Dragon Mystic. I'm really proud of them. I really am. And again, we do have the membership section where we do have members only perks. If you consider supporting the channel in that way, go check that out. But if not, just hit that like button, hit the subscribe. You'd be surprised how much that helps us here at the channel. And until next time, I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. Take care. Bye-bye.